Welcome back to week 4 of the LPL here in spring 2018, and it's our special Chinese New Year broadcast. If you caught our start of the show, it was very fun to be there in our little game show. But my name is Paul, so I'm back here with FLICKR, and we're jumping back into this series as well against BLG and RNG. I want to take a second to talk about BLG though. We said a lot about RNG in that last segment, so let's talk about BLG because they came in with a plan. And they tried to execute on said plan. It didn't work out in the end. It was kind of unfortunate how they drafted towards their bottom side, and they both got killed like 1 minute into the game. So I feel like we just need to see them do it again and not get dissuaded from the fact that it just kind of went awry in the first couple of minutes of play. Yeah,
just to refresh, it was Vladimir, Kha'Zix, Ezreal, and Braum. And I actually wouldn't really change anything about this draft. I know one of the complaints that we had is that, well, you drafted effectively 3 losing lanes or 3 neutralized lanes. At that point in BLG, do have a tendency to do that. It handicaps SKS. What is a jungler supposed to do when he basically has to play defense or put out a bunch of fires everywhere? But there were a lot of options to deal with the tools that RNG assembled. They brought out the Caitlyn, but BLG were still able to get a hold of the Braum. Ezreal Braum isn't going to completely win a Caitlyn lane, but they can slow it down. If they get to the creep wave first, if Ezreal's able to abuse his Mystic Shot, this is 8.1, not 8.2, so the changes haven't gone through yet. If Braum can get his door up in front, deny some of that chip damage onto the tower, it still only fell at 13 minutes versus, like a 9-minute tower fall. Sure. And the adjustments to presence of mind, taking that for Azir, understanding that he was going to lose the blue buff.
The difference here was it was all conscious, and that was the difference for BLG. Like, yes, they were drafting losing lanes, but it was all decided by the team. We'll see if they do it again, as we are going to send it over to the casters for the call in Game 2.
Thank you so much, Pulse and FLICKR and everyone. But as we said, we're getting ready to get into game number 2. And RNG, they have got to turn up the fire because they took game number 1. We can't take that away from them. But we can say the fact that wasn't the cleanest game from RNG. This is not Summer Split RNG that's before us. This is something new and frankly terrifying.
I mean, if we're taking baby steps for RNG, this is significantly better than their prior sets. Yeah. So this is definitely a step in the right direction for them. And we're always going to have high expectations of this roster simply because we saw them at Worlds in 2017. They went to the semifinals. Like, we know they're going to be good. And Pulse mentioned 3 of the roster are different. Yes, that is absolutely the case. And I think that's okay then, given that they won. 3 of the 5 roster is a little bit different. Expectations can be win the game and then learn how to win the game better as the split progresses. BLG is also something that needs to hit the drawing board just that little bit more. I know that they can draft how they drafted. I'm okay with that as well. The playstyle, I think it was just level 1. Maybe this game goes better for them by not doing something at level 1. It could just be that simple.
Well, we'll see what that plan is going to be for BLG, if they reset here in game number 2, or if they try to come back with something different. As now, with side selection, it is going to be RNG, and they have selected red side here in this game 2. That puts BLG on blue, as both of the teams have chosen red, so hoping for some form of counter pick.
Red side Xiaohu, not quite red side rookie, doesn't have the same ring to it, but they do like to get their counter picks here, RNG. So Tai is also one of those few players that will have some fantastic counters available to him, though he is fairly new back to the top lane, of course, returning to the role, may still be getting his feet wet.
Yeah, gotta shake the dust off. Make sure that your champions are actually meta. Tragically, top Fizz no longer as meta as it used to be. Neither that top Hecarim.
Tragically, top LeBlanc doesn't quite fit the bill either.
Good old day. But still, Galio, Ryze, and Kog'Maw banned away from RNG. Camille and Gangplank, again, double ban towards AmazingJ. Heck, I count that AmazingJ champion. Count it a triple ban.
Okay, let's do that. Vladimir is also an AmazingJ champion, so let's see if they go towards, again, a first rotation pick of that, or if their priorities completely shift. Now, in the first game, Xayah was one of the champions that they banned away. This time, Ryze and Galio were there. Jarvan also one of the other bans. So if their priority sticks to Vlad, that's perfectly fine. We saw it from them in game 1. Just keep your mind peeled on the fact that whilst Jarvan is gone, Xayah is an AD carry that was banned that is now available.
I will keep my mind peeled for that, Rusty, as RNG. We'll see what they decide to go for next, if they prioritize that bottom lane, or if they continue to allow Abel to fall down towards that bottom half of the picks as they did in game number 1. We know he has a propensity towards those high mechanic champions. Well, how about skill shots? That'll do you pretty good.
Skill shots everywhere, as far as the eye can see with an Ezreal for Abel. Of course, his game 1 performance may actually be a very big deal for him. It could actually be a stage jitters thing here for Abel, but so far with the Game 1 performance, showing up, having a big performance as well. Coming to the second game, he might have momentum. He might actually feel confident. He may step up to the plate and show just how good he really is.
And now a Braum along with that from Ming to further make that poke harass from the Ezreal that much more dangerous. Now, we saw this exact bottom lane from Jinjiao and Road in Game 1. Could it actually just be the...
Well, you know what Jinjiao plays, Dom.
Oh, are they just going to run it back with the Caitlyn Kench?
He can actually play the Caitlyn very well. I'm not sure if we'll see an AD carry picked here into the next rotation. Varus actually is the one that I'd be looking towards if I'm going to lock something in. Have a bit of extra control in the lane. Ezreal doesn't have an abundance of wave clear, so you could do that. But again, I wouldn't actually pick an AD carry just because there are so many available.
Ooh, this could be interesting. Athena looking at Zoe in the mid lane. Azir is still open. Didn't quite have the performance that he would have expected from Athena. But the Targonian aspect of trickery has now been locked in for Bilibili Gaming.
Yeah, that's right. Athena gets himself the Azir. The Zoe. The Azir wasn't quite what he wanted in game number 1, so he is going to change things up here. A bit more, let's say, mischievous poke. It is still a very similar role that an Azir would cover without the all-in part. Just a much more damage-oriented part.
Now Cho'Gath once again locked in for Zatai in that top lane. We know that Zoe is going towards the mid because of the Vladimir. So we're still seeing no big surprises or flexes just yet. Still 4 champions left. Tahm Kench going to be banned away, so already BLG have no chance of taking the same duo that they just played against.
Now, it looks like Zatai is very comfortable and very confident by playing that Cho'Gath into the Vladimir as the 1v1 matchup goes. We saw it in game number 1. Now on the other side of the rift, they choose to pick it once again, and they pick it before the second ban phase so that it cannot be removed by BLG. This is now the matchup that AmazingJ is stuck in. Unfortunately for AmazingJ, you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to leave your lane against the Cho'Gath as he's constantly pushing you under your turret.
We already start to see Zatai really feel himself in that last matchups, aggressing against AmazingJ. Perhaps this could be the game that he actually gets the kill onto the Vladimir instead of Xiaohu in that mid lane. But still, Alistar follows it up. Another support van taken towards Road. Still no AD carries. Stricken from Jinjiao, interestingly. Leaving that Varus still open that you mentioned.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, the Varus is a high priority AD carry running around in the LPL specifically as well. Maybe something they look towards, but the Caitlyn also very prevalent pick as of recent weeks. Have to see what their preference is, BLG, because we've seen neither of the bottom lane. The supports are being banned away. They know it's a Braum matchup, but with a Tahm Kench and Alistar gone and a Braum already locked in, not a lot of tank supports available to them anymore. However, there is a Bard.
Always the chance for Road to take Bard. Ah, Leona, there's your tank support.
That's possible.
It certainly would be surprising. Pair it up with the Zoe and the Rengar, and immediately when she lands a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, just dive in. Karsa now picking himself up with Kha'Zix, swapping the other way around. I was being sarcastic, but
no, Leona's not a bad option. I mean, if Kalista's available, you can make anyone engage, and something that BLG do need is engage. And with all of the tanks banned, like Leona actually makes an abundance of sense. Taric definitely does a similar thing if you have a Taric and a Rengar combo, where you actually put your gems onto the Rengar, and as he jumps in, you stun them.
Ooh, this would be interesting if Road were to take the Shen.
Now, I didn't mention Shen as a support. We've seen a lot less of it lately. But it is something that will always be in the back of your mind as one of the few supports that is still left as a tank.
Does enable quite a large amount of cross-map play, especially once you get the unsealed spellbook, just double teleport across the map. Quite effective. And the Shen is going to be locked in for Road as BLG, they pick straight down the line for themselves. And now we're looking at the final champion, Xiaohu. He's got counterpick, knew he was going up against Zoe. He's known it for a few minutes now.
Yeah, but the Rise is banned. The Rise is taken away, the Malzahar is taken away, and as is the Azir. 3 of the good matchups, and often you want to be forwards and aggressive with your play style, or you want to try and outrange it. But this is definitely style number 1.
Kassadin locked in for Xiaohu in the mid lane. He was able to split push and open the lane for his team to win game 1. But this is the same Xiaohu who stood across from FLICKR on the world stage in the semifinals a few months ago for 5 games. And now he finds himself looking across from Athena.
Unfortunately, he's looking across from a Zoe as well. And Kassadin can do okay in the lane, but can also do very poorly, and it really depends on how the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles connect. And if any of them hit, you know that Xiaohu will lose those trades, but it's also an Abyssal Mask building character, so if you want to show any resilience and build into mid-game to not die to Zoe, it's possible that Xiaohu could do that.
Coach is now shaking hands for what could be the last time today as RNG up against BLG. Finally, they've picked themselves up a win. They're starting to gain some steam. Is it enough for the little train that could to make it over the hill of this 4-series loss streak? Or will BLG, the miracle workers, pull out another rabbit from their hat and turn this series around?
Of all teams that could do that could find that rabbit in the hat, BLG are definitely one of them. Perhaps the cream of the crop for miracles. But they're up against RNG, who, you mentioned it, 4 series losses in a row. They've taken 2 maps out of those 4 series defeats. So they're not unfamiliar with taking games in sets, but they have really been struggling with closing out the entire set. And now we start to see it. Does it affect them being 1-0 up for the first time in forever in a set?
We'll certainly have to find out. I mean, Xiaohu's on Kassadin, Abel's on Ezreal. These aren't champions that sit back and kind of chip you away. These are champions that are looking for style and play, especially with how Abel started to step forward towards the end of game 2. Or sorry, the end of game 1.
Abel, yeah, he strikes me as one of those Ezreals that will go forwards with his plays as well. Remember the first time we saw him, it was the Vayne. Ready?
RNG fans starting to pick up some steam, cheering on their team. Anything, the fans believe. But does RNG, can they close out this set here and now?
Of course, going to be the question. With that set 1 momentum there, we have very similar matchups, however, to the first game. So there is some similarities here between game 1 and 2. Game 1, of course, where RNG did end up victorious. 2 for 2. He's making some bank.
He is. A whopping 16 gold in that Kleptomancy. We'll have to see if he has any additional items with him. Double Targons on that same bottom lane. Looks like Karsa getting a leash this time. So RNG playing it nice and safe. Not going to go for the invade.
Yeah, we're also not going to have the inspiration tree Kassadin. He's going towards the Arcane Comet.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of extra poke in lane. Helps out just that little bit more. If a Q goes off, you may be able to do a bit of extra damage, just surprise them with the damage you're doing. But he's also running teleport, and he's completely committed to that role. Welcome to Kassadin's laning experience, everybody. But having the teleport, going for Dark Seal, going for refillable potion, he's acknowledged that laning phase is just going to straight up suck. And he wants to have to teleport back in. So he's gone as efficient as he possibly can with itemization. He's gone towards teleport because Xiaohu's going to split push anyway, such as Xiaohu. And he's also gone towards precision secondary, having that presence of mind there for mana regen, mana staying, no cost on all of the spells.
Yeah.
Because he wants to sustain through that laning phase, and the runes are there to empower him to do so, and then to team fight well.
Level 2 picked up by the bottom lane of Jinjiao on road. They get some good
stun.
harass. Stun. Half health.
Oh,
Exhaust.
and
He goes in. Abel flashes to follow the heal. Jinjiao has gone too far. Another stun is ready. As Karsa, he knew his red was warded. He's skirmishing with SKS, but still decides to go in and trade back.
Oh, wow. Karsa actually lives, however, and the bottom lane of BLG goes down. The AD carry gone with both summoners removed. You can't swap over to a teleport and come back to lane now. He's already dead. And he has the cooldowns on those summoners. Abel steps up big with Ming. And all it takes is one auto attack or one Q to slow them, lock them down and get that 4-proc rolling. Ezreal hits skill shots, you will get stunned and you will die.
Even running Gathering Storm for Xiaohu.
He knows where the game's going.
Yeah, if he starts to pick up some kills in those late team fights, he can just press the R button as much as he likes.
Yep, presence of mind able to enable. Oh man,
You've done it now.
Abel enabling.
Once it's in your head, it's like an earworm, a song that gets stuck in. You just can't get it out.
Well, it is still going to do that.
Yes,
so regardless of what I said,
it will indeed.
Sets up his late game team fighting. The scaling damage actually, to me, allows you to have the Abyssal Mask perhaps early to be a bit more tanky and just have that stay in your item build if you go for Gathering Storm. It just gives the flat amount of AD or AP, of course adaptive depending on what you use, for Kassadin AP. then you go Abyssal Mask, you go tanky, you don't die, and you scale up into doing damage while staying tanky.
This seems almost like a Doinby-esque style of play.
Oh, certainly.
Just be large and aggressive, and eventually you'll do damage if the game goes on late enough. Here you can see some of BLG's stats. They have the average win time here. 8th place on that gold differential at 15.
Yep.
Moderate Baron percentage, middle of the table, but their gold per minute is actually very high.
And they are just mostly middle of the pack, but their win time being very early is a surprise if you know BLG of old. They like to wait till late games and have those big team fights, but with how quick the LPL's average game time is, it's not really that surprising because you can hit those team fights a bit earlier.
BLG seem to be evolving into a new style with this. No longer just waiting for that late game, perhaps taking some pages out of WE's book from that last
Are they
split.
going straight towards bottom lane? There's a control ward that has spotted Athena. It may just be that they're looking for vision because they didn't spot SKS, but the dive is happening.
Minions. No teleport for AmazingJ, so it's 4 versus 2. Shadow Dash on 2. Stun. He's going to proc onto Road. He gets away from the turret alive. Abel and Ming still trading back, but Karsa with the cleanup gets a kill. SKS low health. And is able to get away from Abel.
Yeah, they could have actually continued. But they will back away. BLG, look, I'm not actually sure how to respond to a dive like this. I feel like that was a lot for 5 minutes into the game, you know. My bottom lane, AD carry doesn't really have summoner spells. Flash is still on cooldown. Road's running Ignite, so maybe they go for kill threat, but didn't even use the Ignite. RNG is still very healthy. Just makes you wonder.
Maybe it could be a little bit of jitters from RNG, because it is another early aggressive play, almost reminiscent of the 3-man invade that cost them in Game 1. So perhaps a preset play, a pre-planned play, to try to get themselves an advantage that RNG just casually deflect.
I mean, pre-planned or not, it's insane. So doesn't really matter how concrete your pre-planning is. If something goes wrong in the game, in the act, like a 2v2 experience advantage, everything you could want for the bottom lane, I think they went for it just because they have 5 stopwatches. And so we can dive. Like if a Shen hits a taunt and we dash in and we all do damage, we all stopwatch and look golden under the turret as they're dead. Maybe this works because RNG don't have stopwatches. They've gone towards Biscuit.
Instead of stopwatches, they've got vision, though. They see the play coming, and they have the ability to outplay as Karsa and Xiaohu are able to collapse and defend. And once again, Abel, he's picking up a CS advantage over Jinjiao in that bottom lane. Xiaohu, because of that roam, he's actually the first to hit level 6 in this mid lane as Athena just catches up. Even the recall allows him to get Catalyst and regular old boots. Good old-fashioned brown bags, the classic.
Not having the best experience. As I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Athena use his stopwatch in the bottom lane dive? Because I feel like that just went on cooldown.
No, they were all active just a few moments ago.
I'm pretty sure that he just pressed it in mid lane.
I mean,
it
might be right.
It's on cooldown now.
I support you in this endeavor. You have my support, but I don't know if it's actually correct or not. Hopefully we can get some confirmation on that. As again, RNG, they've got plenty of vision on this bottom half of the map. Wards aplenty, where BLG just have 2 defensive wards to keep an eye on Xiaohu or Karsa roams.
BLG are moving first, though.
The river. Yeah.
They are trying to make the first plays, and whether the dive bottom was successful or not, it doesn't really make a difference. They still tried to make the play. And this is something that you like to see, of course, from BLG, going forwards, being aggressive. It doesn't mean that they'll get anything. They're going to look once again. But they're constantly being spotted by RNG's vision. But these plays, if it works one time, if it actually catches RNG by surprise one time and results in a kill, that kill could actually mean an objective. The Drake is an Earth Drake, so always look towards that as a place of priority.
Yeah, Rift Herald will be up in 2 minutes as well. Already tons of vision for BLG on that top river. Still, though, RNG, they are maintaining this vision. Karsa is placing wards after wards. Control ward from Xiaohu. Early Sightstone from Ming. Very respectful play once again from RNG in Game 2.
A lot of the vision's defensive as well. Of course, the bottom side's aggressive as they have control in the 2v2. They're pushing in. Ming is able to spread himself out across the river. There's a couple around the Drake, even on the back side of the pit, to try and spot someone jumping in, not necessarily just doing it. So there was a Scuttle Crab and a secondary ward. I like that from RNG. But ultimately, on the top side, it's defensive vision, where they are respecting where BLG are going, and it's reactive vision to prevent them from getting anything extra. That was a lot.
Yeah, perhaps some slightly more cerebral play from RNG as they're trying to recover their poise that they had that took them to the semis in Worlds. As Xiaohu, he's playing a dangerous game. The minions are body blocking for him, but the sidestep, and Athena misses the paddle star.
Athena makes the mistake, unfortunately. It happens for Zoe's. A lot of the Qs don't go the correct way when you use the ultimate, and the Q just doesn't seem to want to follow you. Feels bad, man, but Athena still pushes Xiaohu out of the lane, forces the teleport. That may not put him to sleep. No, it is now.
He's able to get back into lane.
I choose sleep.
And catches all the minions, so no major deficit. Still even in CS with Athena, but now he's got the blasting wand.
And you know that a Kassadin that is farming equally in lane is doing very well for himself. And you can credit a lot of that to what happened with the bottom lane play from Athena, actually putting himself down there, hard committing to some kind of engage or some kind of play. Just gives Xiaohu 6, the Kassadin gets 6, so he goes through the hurdles of all of the early laning and early level hiccups that you will often have. Not a redemption.
He's also picking up that blue buff. Not massive damage on the Zoe just yet, but Karsa, he's found a very squishy support. Decides not to overextend, just refreshing that aggressive vision that they had earlier, as the aggressive redemption is hopped into by Athena.
Amusingly, from Athena, using it aggressively, indicating that I'm going to jump forwards and hurt you, so Xiaohu can very actively dodge it.
Now, Dragon has been started by RNG, using that aggressive vision they just placed to make sure this play is safe. But Abel, he's just making his way out of base with Iceborne Gauntlet. Still, looks like SKS is content to let it go. The Dragon does reset.
They're still not in range to take it, so it ultimately doesn't make a difference. They're just going to... Road's just going to stand nearby and act threatening, but he's not actually threatening anything. He's just there. It gives time for Jinjiao to try and push and reset the bottom lane. If he wants to recall, he can now. It's because of where the wave is positioned. Free purchase timings, but the free Drake for RNG, a Mountain Drake at that, helping them, you know, with their sieging of structures with objective takes in the future, something that we'll always look forwards to seeing from them. And a composition that doesn't necessarily excel at sieging, but at 1-3-1 split pushing they will. And so the Mountain Drake will help enable that.
Almost as if it's the exact same strategy as game number 1, cropping up here in game number 2.
They would never do the same thing twice.
I couldn't imagine, especially if it worked in game number 1. All right, now we're just being facetious. BLG pushing up in the mid lane. There's a lot of chip damage on that turret as Karsa has found SKS, trades back with him, stand united from Road. He's going to be joining in. Paddlestar doesn't connect. SKS with the stopwatch. Even a teleport coming in. SKS goes down to Karsa.
The Shen ultimate didn't follow through. Someone must have stopped him on the bottom side. Ming flashed, so presumably the flash Braum ultimate is going to stop the Shen from getting in there and affecting it. And that actually allows RNG to have the one skirmish on the top side of the map. Rengar dashed in, fully confident that his Shen was about to come in and support him. And that would have been a big contributing factor to that skirmish. But RNG, they get the pick, they move to the red buff.
Oh, Road steps forward. He gets the kill onto Karsa with Athena. Now Xiaohu's trying to make his way out of there, but AmazingJ is ready. It's so hard to catch a Kassadin, though. He's still got his flash waiting for the Rift Walk. Hemo play gets him over the wall, away from the Paddle Star and away from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Xiaohu does get zoned from the minion wave, but he'll be able to catch it in the end. Braum also nearby. Ming there to protect that middle lane. And Zatai actually pushing top lane at the same time.
Ooh, steps forward for Athena. They catch him out of the portal jump, and they're able to chunk him down to half. Still, the turret seems to be standing with the support of Ming, though Xiaohu trades his health for it.
And ultimately still good from BLG to find themselves something, and they're looking for something else.
SKS leaps onto Zatai, who's holding onto his flash. He doesn't have Feast, and finally will make it to under the turret.
Nice flash from Zatai, distancing himself from the bush that SKS was walking into as well. Was about to get the net for actual crowd control. We watch this fight again. Shen coming in. Of course, we get to see him cancelled. Exactly what we thought it was. Flash ultimate from Ming. And during that time where the Shen ultimate was cancelled, SKS jumped in, trusted his support. He was wronged.
Tragic. But again, RNG, still very talented mechanical players, able to get the outplay in this situation that gives them their 3 kills. Still only 800 gold ahead, and that mid and top tier 1 turret during this early game have been chipped down quite a bit.
Yeah, it feels like AmazingJ's got extra control in the top lane this time around. Nothing really outstanding has happened in the top lane. It does feel like it's mostly just been that 1v1. Of course, the recent movements from SKS have been on the top side of the map. But even in the first game, Zatai was leaving lane. He was looking for aggressive moves and invades, and he was still controlling the 1v1. So AmazingJ just pretty much doing a better job this time around, and that top lane turret is actually pretty close to dropping.
Now we see BLG rushing down the mid lane to take a tier 1. Karsa steps up on the road. Teleport from behind from Zatai. No answer from AmazingJ. Sleepy Trouble Bubble presents some chase, and Athena very low. Is lucky there's no feast, but tragically Karsa follows up. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and Xiaohu gets the kill.
Athena tries his hardest to stay alive, or maybe get a trade, do some damage, but he's just going to go down in the end. AmazingJ, however, is the real winner here as he's looking towards that top lane. RNG trying to respond, trying to match, but I don't really think it means all that much here. Ultimately, first turret blood, solo blood given over to AmazingJ.
The heart and soul of the team. He's going to be set up for success. Now 22 CS ahead, though RNG answer back by taking that mid tier 1 turret. And Rusty, I gotta ask, because I'm not entirely sure myself, was that RNG again reacting to a play from BLG? They can't proactively have seen that coming.
I mean, that was in part proactivity, though, from Karsa looking for the aggressive play. The teleport from Zatai was also pretty offensive in their use. I do think that RNG were going forwards in that moment. Just the BLG were already preparing a response before RNG even made any kind of counter plays or proactive plays.
A rebuttal, if you will, from the two teams as they just trade it back. Now Mountain Dragon is up in 75 seconds. Still seeing the bottom lane of Abel hanging out down there. He's got his Manamune. We'll see if he swaps towards the top half of the map now, knowing that there is no teleport on Zatai and that dragon is coming back up, but no. This looks like he's still heading bottom, so perhaps RNG could have their eyes on that big brown dragon coming up in a minute.
We certainly should. The second Mountain Drake consecutively as well is a place of focus that you have to look towards. It's just funny to watch. SKS taking down the Scuttle Crab. Now he's getting vision control on the top side of the map. You can see the control wards laced through the entire top side area for BLG. Their vision around the dragon is completely lacking in comparison to that of RNG. So we know exactly where these teams have their attention, where their focus lies, and that does mean that you may even see a free Drake secured by RNG, a free second Mountain Drake secured by RNG. But BLG will try and cement some further control around the Baron if they do walk down there.
Or at the very least, that Rift Herald, the Baron Pit. Another Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands. Athena with the finished Morellonomicon, now doing half health on those paddle stars. Xiaohu is frantically trying to get some health back with that Catalyst of Aeons.
And Zoe's cooldowns are just so low that Kassadin cannot really compete at this stage. Tower just drops free as you'd like. This actually helps so much for BLG with the turrets being traded in the mid lane, because now they have an inside track towards the Drake. There is still vision there for RNG. Teleport wards potentially behind them. You can see RNG actually pinging those locations. There could be a fight for this.
Yeah, Xiaohu's recalling right now. Looks like he's headed back into the mid lane. Flash to try to engage. Road is on the side. He tags onto Abel, but it's only to stall time as AmazingJ comes in from the side. Big Hemoplague, as you mentioned. Abel leaps away, and that's going to be Karsa using the Zhonya's early. SKS from behind. He's found Ming. He gets the kill. SKS gets destroyed by Zatai, though, and still, it's not quite enough as BLG are the ones who are turning and winning this fight. 4 versus 3. They continue to chase. The paddle star hits Karsa, chunks him low. As Xiaohu is forced to retreat. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not connect.
Abel is still here with most of his health and does look like he'll be able to hold any pushes towards the structures in the middle lane. So they hold on, but Karsa has to recall. Athena's just picking up summoner spells. He's got a second Zhonya's to the right of him anyway if he needs, and swaps it for the teleport. So he'll recall. He'll most likely teleport in as well if he wants to contribute to the Drake. And that's what BLG are going to be looking towards.
Xiaohu is stacking up. He's looking for the resets. Flash cleans it up the heal. He doesn't get the kill. A stopwatch. Xiaohu finally follows up, and Jinjiao with the shutdown.
Oh my god. Kassadin just messed that up so royally when looking. The force pulse the wrong direction. The timing on the ultimate incorrect as well. Xiaohu, I appreciate what he was looking for, but in this case, BLG come up okay. The stopwatch was there for Jinjiao, and that should actually open them up towards, very easily, the Mountain Drake. We get to see the fight once again. Abel's ultimate doesn't hit anybody. The heal was used super early by Zoe, and she was zoned at the start. But AmazingJ covers most of the damage for him anyway. Athena comes in on the back end with SKS, and they're able to output a lot of damage. Thankfully, Zatai, level 11. has the ultimate there, will feast upon the Rengar who overextends himself. But there's no real saving them in this case.
Once Zoe starts to pick up those summoner spells, it just becomes such a pain to deal with it, leaping all over with Jinjiao on the side.
Yeah, the real threat there, though, is more so when the Zoe has someone poke low or when RNG's health bars are at half health. Every time Zoe presses Q backwards, you run away. Every time she places a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, you have to run away from it or dodge it. And if you get drowsy, you have to jump away. And so in any team fights or skirmishes that happen, if Zoe starts the fight off with a pick or just by chunking you out to half health, the presence that she has is so overbearing that you will most likely lose the rest of the fight. And that's without mentioning AmazingJ on a team fighting top laner.
And of course, with the back of that fight, BLG pick themselves up a dragon. Here's Xiaohu trying to get the play onto Jinjiao, misses the Force Pulse, as you mentioned.
That was the kill. The difference in health right there actually was the kill. And then the Force Pulse, they ultimate as well. All of it's missing.
Rift Herald, meanwhile, was picked up just before it expired by RNG. Karsa and Xiaohu leaping over the wall, so a bit of a lapse in vision from BLG as Xiaohu, he's thinking of something.
You know, of course, we are seeing a lot better things from BLG as the game goes. Mid lane doing very well. Bottom lane actually excelling now 0-1 and 3. Not getting kills, but still scaling into the mid game perfectly as a Kalista wants to do. Top lane also very strong for AmazingJ, though he's gone a bit more defensive with his itemization, so a bit less damage, but more resilient against the Kassadin and Cho'Gath combo that will most likely be running at him and currently is. BLG are still doing very well. RNG, with the 1-3-1 capabilities, as they start to get their itemization and build towards that, will still be an ever-present threat. Something that can outright win this game, regardless of how well BLG are doing.
RNG certainly trying to, but without a teleport on Xiaohu, they were running a 4-in-1, looking for something onto AmazingJ with a Banshee's Veil, but couldn't quite find it. That allowed Jinjiao to push bottom, take down that tier 1, and give even more gold to BLG. BLG are 2,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, we're starting to see that gold lead grow for them. The 2,000 gold, whilst it's not a significant number, is influential to the state of the game.
It's still on the map as well. There are still 2 turrets from RNG.
Yep. That's what we're looking towards, though. Can they even get those turrets is pretty much out of the question for the lane that the Vladimir is in.
Yeah.
But with the 1-3-1, you're looking at Xiaohu right now on the bottom side of the map. Teleport 30-odd seconds away. He can actually start looking for structures.
Especially with that Sheen. If he turns that into a Lichbane before he finishes off the Zhonya's, he's going to be an absolute split push threat.
Yeah, generally states what a Kassadin wants to be doing with their itemization as well. If it's a Zhonya's beforehand, then you know that he's going to try and contribute to team fights a bit more, or that he's afraid of being ganked when he's split pushing. But if he goes Lichbane, which he is, based off his itemization, picking up the blasting one, then it's going to be much more about taking down the structures and not even necessarily winning the 1v1 against AmazingJ, though it will help a lot. It's about doing damage to those structures.
So we now see BLG responding as AmazingJ, with that defensive build, is the one heading bottom to attempt to match that Kassadin as Rift Herald was used.
I think it just had to
by
be used.
Karsa.
We'll see if they can do anything with it.
Lumbering back into the mid lane and continuing to trundle on down.
I note how
That's
its
hard
pathing
left turn.
has to hit the middle of the lane before. Get him, Shelly.
Oh, Jinjiao is still going.
There's no turret. Oh, he's angry now.
Oh.
That's it.
You mean
is that she?
Herald the Herald?
It's Shelly.
Shelly the Herald?
Yeah. It's a she.
Yes, I'm aware that she's a she.
Imagine Harold, the female Harold.
The female
no?
version of name of Herald?
The only Harold that I know is a giraffe that is in a van.
Henrietta.
No.
Is that not the female version of Herald? No, that's the female version of Henry.
Shelly, Dom.
Shelly? Is that really it?
It's Shelly.
Ah, well.
That is universally correct.
Okay. Well, BLG looks like they're trying to add another universal truth, and that's that they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, pull a miracle. And they are not going to get it as Karsa with the steal. Whips his flash over the wall, but hey, when you get the Baron, who cares about the escape plan?
I'm sensing a trend in this set, Dom. It's that whoever starts the Baron loses the Baron, and that is the game plan here. That's what the third steal in this series alone that we've seen. Karsa jumps in, takes it away. Now you've got your split push Kassadin who picks up a turret as well, and the gold is pretty much back to equalized.
Only 300 separating the two as the bottom tier 1 you mentioned broken in. Here we see that again. Karsa, he's just got the timing.
He does. He's got the smite timing. It was also used by SKS, but disregard the flash. The smite was fantastic. SKS being level 12 as well, you thought might have a slight edge. I think he was actually 1 level under at that point, but he smoked too early. It was at 930 odd health, I believe. And at level 11 or 12, you're not doing 930. That's like level 18 amounts of smite. So super early from SKS. Perhaps a miscommunication from the team, expecting them to burst and do damage at the same time. But either way, Karsa did time that extremely well to be in there.
Yeah, Jinjiao ready with the rend, but just didn't quite pull the trigger in time, allowing Karsa to give RNG a window back into this game. 24 minutes in, and now it's RNG with a bit of wind under their wings. The 1-3-1 is fully in effect with double teleport. Lichbane finished for Xiaohu. The remaining 2 members actually holding down the fort in mid lane, as Karsa's not content to split push. Or, man, I could be wrong. He's just setting up vision for Xiaohu.
I do like what Karsa is doing, though. Yes, he's setting up vision for Xiaohu, but because Zoe is the one in the lane, there's kill threat. You can absolutely kill the Zoe. She has heal and flash available, so summoners are there, but they have found their way in here if they wish to threaten the structure, because it is a stone's throw from falling with a Lichbane Kassadin there.
Already the Banshee's Veil popped. Athena still playing so defensive, falls back, knows that it was only a matter of time regardless, and still the tier 1 falls.
I am impressed with Athena actually having the reservations there as well. Not only just not choosing to duel Kassadin, which fair, of course Kassadin may actually beat you in the 1v1, but playing so defensively, not even using the turret as a point of safety to back away. Karsa was there. Even if Athena knew or not, there was enough respect that it didn't matter.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, still defending from Abel and Ming. They're now fighting over this blue buff, BLG. They brought the whole family, and it's going to be taken by Jinjiao.
There's a max range spear coming out of Jinjiao. Clean looking steal there. Another steal, of course. Why not?
Got to be as many as possible. Xiaohu swaps down to the bottom half with all the tier 1s broken. It's time to look for a tier 2. AmazingJ.
One more, Dom.
One more. Steal?
No. Kassadin's level 15.
Ah, I see.
One more level until we hit Kassadin actually being online.
Leaps over the wall, away from that Vladimir for the time being. Not able to trade, but as we said, it is only a matter of time. Ming eating a few spears from Jinjiao. Abel still playing so far back in this game on a team that normally runs with Uzi and Y4. Bringing in someone with crazy good mechanics, and then he's sitting back. He's playing the slow game.
He does have the CS advantage, though. He is still hitting his skill shots. They got a kill in lane. Abel has been playing actually very well in this set. He's deserving of the credit that we could give to him. As once again, we're looking at a very big top lane or bottom lane battle between the solos, but Karsa seems to want to make the difference every time we see him now.
Steps up just to get a bit of damage. Meanwhile, Jinjiao working on the tier 2. Baron has worn off for RNG. And they're just going to get some chip damage onto this.
BLG still with control of the map whilst there is a Baron that has just subsided. They weren't able to really get anything from it, and Bilibili are still pushing forwards, having that control. But Cho'Gath is trying to trade.
As 5, BLG are able to break it down. How is it that BLG still have control of the map? Is it just that RNG, once they lose the Baron,
they're
have
just
a weaker
choosing
3?
They're just choosing to 1-3-1. And yes, the 3 is never going to be able to hold against 5 when they start running at them anyway. There's a Zoe in there. There's a Shen that can threaten the dive, a Rengar that can threaten the dive. And when you look at who is the 3 of RNG that's actually going to be defending, a Braum can only do so much.
Yeah.
And Ezreal's hard to kill, yes, but Kha'Zix contributes pretty much nothing to that. He has the W to slow people down by 70%, sure, but that's not going to help clear the waves as successfully as anything else would.
Tack on the fact that we're seeing Karsa in the side lane more often than not, turning it into a 2-2-1. Perhaps even more propensity to defend.
But you know what is interesting about this is that Face of the Mountain Locket Rush from Ming, full defensive, wants to shield people, keep them alive. Karsa's going defensive now with a Black Cleaver third, so, you know, defense-offense hybrid. But so is Abel. Abel's actually completed his Black Cleaver. He's not going the full offense route. It's not going to be the Mercurial Scimitar that you see from a lot of Ezreal's third. He doesn't want to die. He wants to have as much cooldown reduction as he possibly can to throw out Qs to clear waves with Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Abel's goal is so heavily ingrained into not dying in this game so that the split pushing will work for RNG.
That's pretty scary considering how Xiaohu, who's already flubbed 2 big plays this game, or sorry, this series. And Kassadin, while he certainly can do damage later on, he'll have to pull it off. Now the push once again onto a tier 2. Zatai, he's very far away from the tier 2 on the other side. And just so much chip damage from that Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe's being a very big threat at the moment and causing the biggest problems. Once again, every time someone goes to sleep, they have to back away. And BLG are just grouping up and making them hurt for it. Cho'Gath can't push that quickly. BLG are pushing faster.
Yeah, they're rushing now towards this inhibitor, finally.
He wants to
teleport. Tier 2 is broken. TP behind. Karsa's on the side. Flash.
Oh, they're in.
Knock up. They're going to force the fight. AmazingJ is down in Sanguine Pool. Abel trying to get us slow. Xiaohu follows up with the null wave. Continues to get the feast onto AmazingJ. And
Xiaohu's
RNG are turning the fight. Jinjiao goes down. The 2 casualties of war for BLG.
Presence of mind, Kassadin's trying.
Oh, big damage onto Athena. Again misses the Force Pulse, but Stand United's not enough to keep him standing.
The safety zone use as well, hoping that the Zoe didn't get the second Paddle Star off. RNG win the fight. They're able to go straight over to the Baron Pit up in 10 seconds. Teleport there from Xiaohu if they want to get into the fray as well. BLG, perhaps they've just overextended in the bottom lane and cost themselves a big loss.
The pendulum swings back and RNG bring to bear the weight of their items. And with the kill advantage, like you said, turning towards that Baron, they've even got defense in the mid lane from Xiaohu and Xiaohu and Ming to prep the way for when that Baron goes down. And suddenly the siege became a lot tighter. They're just diving. Yeah, SKS goes down. Road is going to be stunned up. Ming leads the charge. Stopwatch to keep himself alive. But Xiaohu cannot get it. But the True Shot Barrage does. Abel snipes him out of the air.
Road just throws himself out way too early and he's dying for it. RNG sieging mid lane. I don't think they should keep pushing here. Definitely reset. They have a lot of money to spend. They have a Baron buff to actually set up side waves with. No risks taken. I respect this from RNG. We get to watch the fight again. Ming knows, everyone from RNG knows that they're going forwards. AmazingJ is just way too chunked out. His ult hits one person, but it's the Zatai show. Gets the feast off.
Before he goes to sleep.
And then a presence of mind, Kassadin just starts sprinting at everybody. Ults everywhere. Knows that he's not going to die to the one hit, and he has the cooldowns to keep this going. Zonia's just in case the second Paddle Star followed through. And RNG, by cleaning up that fight, by getting the Baron, set themselves up to push the lanes in this game again. And if they can get the lanes going, if they can get control of the map with a Kassadin, they just win.
Look at how massive Zatai is right now. 2-1-2. He was able to pick himself up a bedtime snack in that last fight before going to sleep from Athena's Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
And his cookies and milk.
And now he's ready for round 2.
Ouch.
Baby's awake and hungry, but now Athena just punishes right back.
Athena's upset.
He really is. Another Paddle Star to clear out the wave. Zatai still bringing in yet another. The rest of RNG are around the Dragon and the jungle. They don't have top wave prep. They don't have mid wave prep.
You know, looking at Zatai's items as well, with BLG currently threatening towards him, I think it'll take 4 of them, probably 5 to 10 seconds at minimum, to kill him right now. A lot of the damage actually has to come from the Kalista, Jinjiao, who is 0-2-4 and not able to contribute all that much currently. But RNG's game plan isn't to 5v5 fight them unless they have to. They want to pressure 2 lanes at once. Kassadin will take a turret if you don't deal with him.
Now they're running the 4-1. Demolisher is able to get a huge chunk of health. The tier 2 has been broken. Now BLG retreat to the high ground of their base. It's all a narrow choke point from here. Another good rupture lands onto Road. RNG still have 2 minion waves of Baron to push with.
Xiaohu actually does not need to be afraid of AmazingJ either. Just every time he has the Q up, and every time that he's got low stacks on his ultimate, of course, he'll be able to use the Q, walk up, hit the turret, tank the turret damage, it doesn't matter too much, and then ult out before AmazingJ can channel the full Tides of Blood.
Now RNG sieging back and forth. They're buying time for Xiaohu. He's escorting another wave in the mid lane as the bottom wave gets cleared. Knock up onto Jinjiao. Another sleep onto Ming. He gets put to bed, but still going to be pushing back. Xiaohu trading with AmazingJ, but can't get any damage on the turret. Ooh, goes forward. Immediate Hemo Plague. SKS follows up for the burst, and the Hemo Plague is going to be denied. Karsa's there to try to turn the fight, and that's Xiaohu dead. That's Karsa dead. BLG again.
Karsa tries to save the mid laner, but Xiaohu twice this game makes the mistake. He wants to be the hero. He's trying way too hard to be the hero. You can't just force plays like that. AmazingJ had his ultimate the entire time, and yes, he doesn't have his Zhonya's, but now 2 of you are dead for the price of 1. Shen's always around the corner, and BLG are threatening mid lane. They might actually be able to push this, but Abel can defend.
As 5, they sprint back down. Abel firing rapid fire. Mystic shot after mystic shot. The wave still crashes in, though. And slowly but surely, its health falls away. The inhibitor line has been broken. It's BLG who break it first. And they're even going to get the inhib on the way back out. Not overcommitting. They turn and run. Teleport's ready for Zatai, but
they want to teleport, I think. I have a feeling that Xiaohu actually, he doesn't have the teleport available, but the way that RNG are playing right now is that they wanted to force BLG to still be visible, still be in lane, so they can try and make a play, maybe rotate from mid straight to bottom, and look towards the objective of the turret down there, and perhaps equalize some of the trade a little bit. As the blue buff is actually blue screening, and we can't see it, it's dead. Well, it's not dead, it's resetting, but...
Athena's having a real tough time. Finally picks up that blue buff. But still, RNG with Baron sieging inhibitors find themselves unable to break it. They're going to answer with the 4th dragon of the game, bringing it to 2-2. But this game is a lot closer than I think RNG want it to be.
I just don't think they're putting any faith in Abel currently from what we're seeing of them. I do think that Xiaohu is the kind of player that can put on those hero performances that can definitely carry for the team. But you've got a 205 Ezreal with 410 CS at 35 minutes.
Yeah.
You can put some pressure onto him. You can give him some responsibility and let him carry. Instead of going all in on mid lane, instead of feeling pressured by the duration of the Baron buff, first things first, they should set up their top lane side wave instead of having it be equal, and then try and make the same play so that Xiaohu can threaten 2 lanes. But from even what they were doing there, he just felt too much onus on having to go forwards and make some kind of play.
And that's now his 3rd critical mistake in this series. The clock is ticking, and BLG... Krug's just turn around and go home. Yeah, decide they don't want anything to do with this. BLG, they are getting pretty big. That's very nearly a 6-item Kalista. Athena's very close to 6 items as well.
I mean, we are very much at the late game point for all of these players. Even a 0-2 Kalista can have 3.5 items. He's going to be able to complete a full item soon, you would imagine. I think that's all we're waiting for. Abel's messing around with the red buff.
Both of these teams are having the most trouble with buffs I have ever seen. Oh, come on, Xiaohu, not you too. There he goes. Finishes it off. 36.5 minutes in. RNG.
I think he's actually... He might have been queuing it for cooldown on his ultimate, but he's also trying to extend the duration of his current red buff. So he didn't choose to do it, but I'm not sure what he's doing anymore.
There he goes. Now he takes it. And Baron's up. 30 seconds. Vision is a hodgepodge between the 2 teams around the pit. Wave is neutral in top and pushing for BLG on the bottom half of the map. But RNG, they're not playing a split push anymore. They're grouped up in the mid lane. It might be Xiaohu looking for a flank.
It does look like we're going to have a close to full item team fight. Xiaohu is flanking like you mentioned, so this is entirely possible that instead of split pushing, RNG have committed. Kassadin's at that level 18 point, not even just level 16 anymore, where he can contribute to team fights extraordinarily well and do crazy amounts of damage. It's the Baron buff, it's the #1 priority. But even a Kassadin with teleport isn't currently bottom lane, isn't actually delaying his arrival to the team. He wants to be there as the fight starts to do damage. And I feel like that's tragically going to backfire on RNG, as BLG will see someone go bottom. Their side wave is set up. The Baron is theirs. At the very least, they can force a teleport from Xiaohu by starting the Baron straight away.
Yeah, immediately Xiaohu clears out that bottom minion wave. He's got that teleport. Abel and Ming hanging out on the bottom side of mid lane. Even the respect from Zatai and Karsa, as they know they're vulnerable in this moment in time.
All that respect is still being paid on the opposite side as well, though, with BLG not choosing to do anything aggressively. There is one ward that is spotting them. You see the ward just on top of all of BLG's members now. That ward is the true MVP.
Yeah,
especially if it spots AmazingJ recalling. They'll stop him, I think, for the Kassadin, yeah.
Rupture, yeah, now they do spot that. As you said, Xiaohu split pushing bottom. He's going really far.
Let Mario Party games begin. Stop the recalls. Whoever does the best wins.
Now RNG are racing in to deny all of these recalls. Still, Xiaohu's pushing bottom. He's got that teleport. AmazingJ starts it again.
Now they start Baron.
Unsealed spellbook means that he could swap over towards it really quick.
Oh, they stopped him again with an Ezreal ultimate. Get out of here.
Denied. Athena Looks like he'll actually be able to complete his and the inhibitor.
AmazingJ is currently experiencing small forms of torture from the side of RNG. They just will not let him recall. Granted that he's recalling in vision constantly. They get a turret. That turret actually opens up the capabilities of just ending the game. Kassadin could actually stay down there if he chooses to threaten the inhibitor, get it for free if they bring BLG over, but he's choosing to teamfight. They're choosing to fight by bringing him here. They want BLG to come to them.
Xiaohu's still looking for a flank. Thrill of the Hunt is utilized. SKS prowling around. Hasn't spotted Xiaohu yet. No pings onto him. And BLG will push RNG off of the Baron. Bit of harass. Along with a Shadow Dash, the tie is chunked down to half, but he's still a very big Cho'Gath. Teleport from behind. Xiaohu, he's gone in. He's gone in way too deep. Rift walks away, and then there's no way his team can get to him. The Trouble Bubble lands. Athena follows up. Big Paddle Star chunks him low, and is the next one going to land? It will not.
And he's actually going to get out alive, but barely. No teleport, however, no health for the Kassadin, and he's just going to run from AmazingJ.
He's got no mana. AmazingJ is still tracking him.
AmazingJ should just go over to the Baron, though. He doesn't need to chase Xiaohu. There's no teleport from the Kassadin.
There's a Rift Walk to make his way over the wall. AmazingJ just scares him all the way back home. And 40 minutes in, RNG try to force a play, but they can't even commit to their own play. BLG, they decide it's time to call this bluff.
It is a Cho'Gath and a Kha'Zix. We have seen so many Baron steals, but Kalista has the Ren stacks there. There is a flash in the Cho'Gath, and I feel like they are going to commit.
Satai over the wall. The Baron is picked up by the Ren. Karsa flashes. Road with the Shadow Dash. Stand United does not allow him to escape. He dies as Athena starts firing off some harass. Xiaohu making his way down, but he's still a long ways off.
They're committing to the fight.
AmazingJ. He's hit by that Iceborne Gauntlet. Another follow-up denied by Abel. The Sanguine Pool, but another one hits. He turns for the Hemoplague, knowing he's dead. And RNG 5 versus 3.
Ming is playing out of his mind in this series right now. The Braum Q's always connecting, and yes, they get the Baron BLG, and they are able to recall. Their bottom wave and top wave are set up perfectly. I don't think that RNG will get anything other than the Elder Dragon. They may go for the bottom inhibitor. In fact, they're just going to go towards sieging mid. They're playing this one out very risky.
They sprint right down. Xiaohu's joined up with his team. 4 members pushing onto the inhibs. Zatai so tanky. He doesn't even care about the turret anymore. It breaks down.
5 seconds on road. They have to back away, but they could look towards, once again, the Elder. They are going to start this one off already. RNG are playing with fire. They have not established side wave control. If BLG win a team fight, the entire game is over from the minions that are pushing already.
15 seconds for AmazingJ. He's almost got that unsealed spellbook for teleport. But RNG, they're going to finish off this Elder Dragon. Smite secure for Karsa.
They do it well, RNG. Yes, they're playing with fire, but no burns. Only burns will be on their buff that they've received. They are able to win a team fight. 3 Barons are left standing, but they have an Elder Dragon to compensate for team fighting prowess. RNG now running around with.
And still the stakes of this game rise ever higher. 42 minutes in. RNG only 6K gold ahead of BLG. And not a place that you want to be if you were the team that was China's representative to Worlds just a few months ago.
Yeah, and look, I'll be honest with you, there's a Kalista on BLG's side. He was 0-2, so he's been mostly irrelevant this whole game. The best thing that we've seen from Jinjiao was securing that Baron. And that is pretty much all of his use currently. If there's the perfect team fight and he gets Ren stacks in, sure, he'll be able to contribute massively to the team's damage, particularly onto tanks as he has the Blade of the Ruined King. But Kalista's damage, even compared to Ezreal at this stage of the game, you give it to the Ezreal. A Kassadin's damage compared to a Zoe, like Zoe does a lot of poke, has a lot of damage. The Kassadin's just so much more threatening. I feel like this is where BLG have wound themselves up in. Good composition, but late game, I think RNG's composition is just far more scary.
Well, if RNG ever get the opportunity to use it. I mean, they've got the Elder Dragon, but pushing up against Baron minions is so difficult.
They're currently using it top lane.
Yeah, they do escort with that Elder Dragon all the way up to the final inhibitor turret. Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits a tie.
And I think it's just 4 members pressuring. Bottom lane inhib is free for Xiaohu if they get the Kassadin down there as well, inside the base of BLG. If they keep 4 people here, not only are they stopping the Baron buff from existing from the side of BLG because they're stuck in the confines of their base, but they give opportunities for a Kassadin to do literally anything he wants.
Another Sleepy Trouble Bubble. AmazingJ steps forward. Tides of Blood is soaked by Ming. He's nice and tanky as well. Those shields coming very much in handy as Zatai is playing bodyguard for his squishier members. Still, Xiaohu,
some back massages.
He's still working mid. Karsa is there to support him.
Yeah, Karsa's actually making the difference here for RNG. He's realized that he can't really contribute to the 4-1 style. Xiaohu's now actually going to go towards the bottom lane. He may not get it just yet. AmazingJ's there with SKS, but 1W is one step closer. They really want to kill Xiaohu.
Yeah,
wow.
Thrill of the hunt. They are chasing Leap and a flash. Spooky goes times out, and Xiaohu has made his way out. Shadow Dash over the wall. They're looking for Zatai, but he's very big. Road going to be stunned. Double knockup. He's still kiting it around. Jinjiao gets a good rend onto Ming, but it's not enough. Redemption tops BLG back up.
And Karsa's just around the corner threatening constantly. RNG pushed them away, and now they threaten to continue moving forwards. Abel is the person to look towards. If a taunt hits him, he may die, but so far he's been playing this one out excellently.
He's still stepping forward time and again, dodging as much as he can. Xiaohu splitting bottom, Karsa pushing mid. It is a tug of war between these two teams. Which of them will give ground first?
Karsa could go from mid to top or bottom. He's threatening in the middle of the base right now from the side of BLG, so they're respecting him, and two people are constantly going down to where Xiaohu is. Xiaohu has teleport, by the way, so he is able to come back in and threaten if he chooses. He may even trade with AmazingJ before going to that. It's the rest of the map of RNG that runs the risk of dying. Karsa just needs to pick the right place at the right time. He could actually get this inhibitor down in the bottom lane if he contributes to Xiaohu's push.
Xiaohu with the completed recall. Now 6 items, level 18 on this Kassadin. Gonna walk it back towards this mid lane. The siege has gone on for so long that Baron's up in 2 minutes. Elder Dragon going to be a minute after. And BLG, they managed to hold their ground and defend, keeping themselves from giving up too much more. Now RNG, they're 6,000 gold ahead, but this late in the game, they might as well be dead even.
BLG have drawn the line, so this is where we hold them. They are currently holding them actually quite well. Guardian Angel for the Rengar means that he can engage. Something that you're looking towards for Karsa is getting a GA himself. May actually even sell an item for that. We'll have to see. The rest of the map is still such a big concern, such a big threat, that BLG have locked themselves. Whilst they say this is where we hold them, holding them inside your own base doesn't get you out to the Baron. So BLG now have to stretch out a little bit further, knowing full well that vision control belongs to RNG and only RNG around the Baron buff. But BLG should group up as 5, utilize the fact that the mid lane inhibitor is now up and available, push out through that lane, because there's no threat of super minions pushing in, and it's the best lane to control for getting access to the Baron.
Now for BLG, that Baron area has gone darker than a Nocturne ultimate. Almost all of the wards have been cleared out, but still, Road is able to step forward with SKS and place a few reminiscent wards here and there, but they've got no actual vision of the pit itself. Jinjiao holding onto that blue trinket. Baron's up in 30 seconds, and as you said, BLG playing that mid lane. RNG look like they're cognizant of it.
Well, RNG want a team fight more than they want to do the Baron. This is something we've seen from them for the past 5 to 10 minutes. So ultimately, BLG going towards the middle lane are giving opportunities for RNG to do what they want to do, which is team fight.
Poke and harass, landing back and forth. The trouble bubble hits Abel. But Ming, playing bodyguard, is able to soak the hit from the side. Here comes Zatai. Doesn't find the flank that he wants. Xiaohu has found SKS. Stand United. Road. He's knocked out of it. Xiaohu going toe-to-toe with the Assassins, but Abel's firing on the front line. And it looks like BLG are able to reset this.
They're actually winning.
Onto Karsa. They're looking for damage. Trouble bubble will land. Hemoplague onto
Abel's
Abel.
caught.
He's so low and he is dead. That's 2 members gone. The bottom lane for RNG has fallen. Zatai has died as well. Karsa, he's right behind them. But still, it's 5 versus 2.
BLG should actually just end the game right here, Dom, with 3 people dead from the RNG roster. All it takes is a mistake from BLG, and that could be stopped.
Landing the bola. Xiaohu going toe-to-toe. He pops the Guardian Angel, but he has no health. Sprints back to the fountain, but as you said, the minion wave is on its way. BLG still huge numbers advantage.
Now they have to tank it before the minions do, or they won't be able to end the game, but they are going for it here.
Road is soaking the hits. The first one goes down. The leap in from Karsa.
That's one
he
dead.
gets a kill. Xiaohu goes in. He's got the reset. Is he getting another one? He gets the Guardian Angel, but that's going to be Karsa dead. Xiaohu forced to leap away. 3 versus 1. Xiaohu, you've made mistakes before this series. It's time to prove all the disbelievers wrong.
Honestly, it has to be a miracle Miracle Dom. I don't think he's got it in him to do it at all.
BLG rush forward. He sidesteps, steps to the side, looks for even more Azanya's to buy some time, but the Nexus crumbles in the meanwhile. He goes down, and BLG are bringing us to Game 3.
And a team fight victory is what tips the balance for BLG in this game as well. And you wouldn't have it any other way for a Bilibili victory. They get that team fight later in the game than even they usually get to. RNG. When it comes to the team fights, it feels like it doesn't exist. But that's what they were looking for the whole game. They were looking for a team fight. And all it takes when you're playing against the Zoe is one sleepy trouble bubble to connect, and everything just gets tipped on its head.
You can even see, despite that win, very serious faces from BLG. They know how close they were to losing that series. Big pat on the back for Road for covering both Jinjiao and SKS in that late team fight. As BLG make their way backstage to get ready for Game 3, but still, this is... Whew, that was intense.
Yeah, I feel like the difference in that game was honestly one mistake from Xiaohu cost a lot. And then he made a second mistake. And to me, RNG were going to win that game. Unfortunately for them, you know, BLG too strong in the end when it comes to team fighting. But RNG were individually making errors here and there. I think Abel was the most consistently performing member alongside Ming on RNG's roster until the last team fight, until the Zoe found him and put him to sleep, and that's where everything was lost.
All it takes is one sleepy trouble bubble, and though Abel, he's doing a great job in lane. He's putting out some great harass against Jinjiao. We talked about the effectiveness of Jinjiao on that bottom half of the map. He was able to get some pretty good spears at the end of the game as well.
Yeah, Jinjiao still did his last team fighting properly. If there's one thing that BLG can do, it is late game team fighting, and no matter what your scoreline is, if you're a BLG member, you know what your role is in the team fight.
You certainly do. Well, now for us, our analysts are ready to break down that game. So, gentlemen and lady, please take it away.
Yeah, I am multiple people now as we get into this breakdown of that game. So, yeah, BLG taking it to a Game 3 here, and in BLG fashion as well, taking it in a team fight, because of course. But let's start this one in the draft before you freak out, Frosky, and then let's talk about some of these champion picks.
Oh yeah, I'm okay. So the champion that I want everyone to hone in on is the Shen, and this was really the crux of a lot of what BLG wanted to do. They have a skirmish-based composition. If you look at Rengar, if you look at Zoe, it really excels at kind of isolating targets, picking them out. We can see the assassination potential, and when you throw a Shen on top of that, not only do you deny a lot of the assassination of the Kha'Zix and the Kassadin, you know, that threat to the backline by having the stand united, but then you also make your assassination, your pick potential that much easier. The submarine, the ability for Rengar to run in. You know, if Zoe snipes someone off, then Rengar and Shen are just suddenly jumping on their back. Vladimir also with Ghost can pull in under the side and bring Shen with him. Now the problem is that never happened, Bulls, and that's why I'm a little bit upset. Yes, BLG won with the 5v5, but I'm calling it the ship. It's capsized again. We're all in the water. Everyone is drowning because they never played the composition like that. They actually just ran it front to back 5v5 into RNG every single time. Yeah, and to be honest, it was a godsend that we even got to that late game team fight in the first place, because RNG kind of gave it to them in that mid lane play where it's just like, oh, 2 people got picked, inhibitor goes down over to BLG, and it's just like, okay, this gives them the chance to go late game, but they were very much gifted that. I completely agree with you, because they weren't being proactive about using their comp before that. Yeah, and never in any stages of the game. Not early game, not mid game, and not late game. Now, I will say about early game that Jinjiao made a mechanical mistake where he threw his spear forward, he went to melee range of the Braum, and then they lost 2v2 to the Ezreal Braum matchup. Because otherwise, you look at that and you're like, okay, you know, it's a Shen Kalista, it definitely has kill pressure down there, you can play around it with your jungler, but maybe SKS decided that it wasn't worth his time simply because they had already lost their summoner spells and then given over a free kill, and that definitely put them on the wrong foot, because Ezreal with Klepto having the free kill, free boots, he was able to itemize directly into 2 items, and so come in mid game, Kalista sitting on her Blade of the Ruined King, and Ezreal already has 2 completed items plus his free boot. So it was very hard for BLG to crack that game open, but that responsibility goes to Athena. You know, if the bot lane collapses, Road can still press R, but he needs to be teaming up with SKS and Athena, and they really didn't do their part for early or mid game. I really think the story here is the fact that BLG had the tools, as you were saying, to touch back on the Zoe point, because Zoe is a champion who has all of the tools to trap people, to find them, to go for those picks and open up a play. Like we've seen that from many teams now who have utilized the
Zoe pick. There's a reason why it's 68% right now in terms of win rate is because teams know how to utilize it.
But did that feel like a really oppressive Zoe? Was that one of the games where we were like, wow, this Zoe, this is amazing to watch?
No, I didn't see Zoe for most of the game, to be honest.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That was simply Zoe just winning because she is an overtuned champion. When that paddle star comes through and it hits two people and they pretty much instantly die, to me that didn't feel like, ah man, Athena, the sniper there in the mid lane. I'm like, wow, he got really lucky with that hit. Thank God.
You know the great thing about Zoe though, for us Kieran's, because you only need to land one. And we're going to take a look at the team fight where he just landed one and ended the game. Let's take a look at the final fight that ended this.
And again, another Shen ult is cancelled out at the very beginning, but that's totally fine because the paddle star is going to come out and do massive damage. And finally, also, SKS steps up in the back half of this fight. But this is what I'm talking about. Why are BLG constantly being put in positions where they're simply just ramming their composition into RNG? And RNG's composition doesn't work like that either. You know, Xiaohu was constantly over in side lanes trying to play the 1-4, which makes sense for them, but everything just got so tangled and so muddy, and it felt like both teams just really didn't understand where they were supposed to play on the map and win.
But in a weird way that benefits BLG because it allows them to be BLG and go for a team fight late game and just win the game, you know? This is like exactly what they want to do. This is actually what a lot of teams on the LPL want to do, is like group of, go for that 5v5 fight. Like Vici would love a game like this where they can go late, be gifted a late game fight and then win the game. Like this is exactly what BLG wanted. So as much as they weren't able to use the tools in this game, they were able to go late and then use the comp in the end.
And I do want to give credit to Bilibili because they did win the game. I feel like they came into both games from their draft phase with very clear-cut strategies. You know, even losing game number 1, it was very clear what they wanted, even through their keystones and their runes. They just couldn't execute on it. Game number 2, we see a very similar thing. You know, it's a skirmish-based composition. They have the ability to make picks. They can isolate, you know, 2v2s, 3v3s. And they just didn't do it. So I like the game plan from Bilibili. I just don't know why their game plans aren't overriding their tendencies to just wait out for these long 5v5s. And why RNG are falling for this trap for such an experienced team.
That is definitely a problem for RNG, and while it's not coming together necessarily for all of BLG, it is coming together for individual members. Now, MVP here will be AmazingJ, who picks this one up once again on his top lane performance on this Vladimir.
And anytime that Bilibili are going to win, the MVP will almost always be AmazingJ. I know Athena's picked it up a couple of times on the Azirs, but the common trend is that it came through the 5v5 team fights. And if Bilibili want to continue to be a threat, not just be insulated by the fact that teams just don't understand macro well enough or aren't good enough at running a 1-4 or 1-3-1, they're no longer going to sit on top. So it's now rising the expectations for teams and not just complimenting them for the same tricks that we've seen them do.
It is a question of how long that reign's going to last for, though, because RNG, if they're struggling, then many teams in the East Conference will as well against that West Conference play. But we'll see if it works out in Game 3, as we are going to take a short break before we catch that one.